Is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everybody. We'll be starting the webinar in 5 minutes. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jay Tonziger, and I'm a marketing coordinator at resortsandlodges.com and Track Hospitality Software. Today, we've got a great presentation in store for everyone from Doug Kennedy of the Kennedy Training Network. As you know, resortsandlodges.com is one of the leading travel websites for independent properties and hospitality companies, specializing in resorts, lodges, inns, bed and breakfasts, guests, ranches, boutique hotels, and vacation rental management companies. We also offer digital marketing solutions, including pay-per-click, search engine optimization, website development, and drip email marketing. Track Hospitality Software is our all-in-one guest communication cloud for hospitality properties. Doug has been a regular contributor to the hotel and lodging industry's most prominent publication since 1996, and we're excited for him to be able to share more than 2 decades of industry experience with all of you. Today's webinar will be focused on first impressions and the impact that they can have on your ability to close sales. So without further ado, here's Doug Kennedy.
All right, thank you very much, Jay, and welcome to everyone who is joining us from all around the world. It's exciting to see that so many of you have made it a priority to be here today, and perhaps you'll be watching this on the replay as well. Jay, you sound really good. Hopefully you had a good time up there in Minneapolis. I know it was a little cold, but big day to host the Super Bowl. So congratulations on a good job. It's a little warmer down here in Miami, Fort Lauderdale. I shouldn't have rubbed that in to those of you coming to us from other locations. As Jay mentioned, we are Kennedy Training Network, and I'm Doug Kennedy. We are very excited going in now to our 4th year of being marketing alliance partners for the Track Hospitality Software, and of course Resorts and Lodges. So if you're, I think most everyone here is a client of one or both of those opportunities. And Jay reminded me when you were talking about the intro there about how many other services you actually offer there at TrackPulse. So we're very excited to be bringing you today this month's topic. Perhaps you've joined us on the other webinars, which we've been doing. Every other month we do a webinar, and most of them so far have been focused directly on the subject of sales. So how to engage people in conversation, how to find out why they've called when there's so much information online, and how to turn that into a conversation, emphasizing asking questions to figure out who they are, why they're calling, what is it that they didn't find online that caused them to be old school and to pick up the phone. But today, as we prepared the content, I thought, you know, let's take a little bit different approach, because a lot of times we have people that seemingly just call the question. The truth is they're shopping online, and more often than not, and they're searching other options. So, and then also we have the people who already booked online that call with questions. Now, perhaps they booked online at our website, which is good. Perhaps they booked online at another website. Now, we know Resorts and Lodges is fantastic, but some of the other OTA websites cost a lot of money. So sometimes we have somebody that calls with a question or a request, but we can actually engage them in a conversation and convince them to cancel that reservation and book with us. It's actually something I learned from a class I taught out in San Diego about 2 weeks ago for my client out there, that they had agents telling me that they have people now that have booked the fully cancelable reservation on the OTAs, and they call with a question. So either they're calling for the first time thinking about staying with you, or they're calling because they're shopping on an OTA, perhaps they've already booked, or they've already called, they already booked, but they just have a question. Either way, we have a chance to make a positive first impression. And as the hospitality industry becomes more and more automated, we have way fewer touch points. Now, years ago, not really that many years ago, least it doesn't seem so to me. We had callers that had many phone calls prior to arrival. So they would call us to have questions. In fact, sometimes they start out asking for a brochure or a catalog if we're a non-traditional resort or vacation rental company. So they call and ask for the brochure or the catalog. They get that. They call back a few times to make the reservation. Then they would call us to make additional deposits. Then they call us several times to reconfirm it. They call about hotel resort policies, questions on amenities and services, local area information, and directions. So we have been replaced all the way down the line on many of these interactions, and we have many fewer phone calls today. Sometimes the phone call with a question or to reconfirm is the only time we talk to that guest. And the reason is we have a lot of operations and models that no longer even have an in-person check-in experience. Now, I'm not saying if that's good or bad, you know, and I do love technology and I embrace it fully. My whole point is that if they don't call us to book because they booked online, they don't call us for questions because they Google searched restaurants in your area, they don't call us for directions because they went on MapQuest or just asked Siri, Alexa, or Cortana, and they check in remotely and go straight to the home, condo, or the guest room, they might not even know who we are. So therefore today, with fewer touch points than ever before, the telephone increasingly is a rare opportunity, and I love this graphic that I picked, to reach through that computer and make a connection. And that's what we want to do. So that's our theme for today. So for in summary then, for those who are calling during the booking process, the first impression can encourage them to select your resort property or your hotel property or your vacation rental property. It can help convince those OTA, and I think we all know that means online travel agent, OTA shoppers to book with you directly, the ones that are on Expedia, Booking.com, or elsewhere where it's going to cost us a hefty commission, all right? But on the other hand, for those who have already booked online, the good first impression that we make on the phone can set the tone for an overall positive stay. Now, by the way, I forgot to mention, if you're watching this webinar for the first time, you see me speaking in the webcam box, and then you also see the screen share. So you may want to stretch and expand the webcam box if you prefer to watch that way, just depending on if you're watching on a small device, a laptop, a computer, or a big screen. So then the first impression we have on the phone is our first chance really to reach through and set the tone for an overall positive guest stay. Now, if anyone has ever been working in a hotel front desk or a resort front desk, you know that if you get off to a good start with the guests, chances are pretty good things are going to go well from there. But if something bad occurs and they get a negative first impression, whether from that initial reservations call or perhaps even at registration, it is a downhill snowball effect. That snowball starts out as one you can toss in your hand, but it starts rolling down the mountainside, okay? On the other hand, if they have a good first impression, our guests will be much more forgiving if they have a good first impression from the telephone. Now, I have an analogy here that I have to kind of explain. But first, again, I have one more segment here I want to cover. I almost forgot. Good thing I had a slide on this one. For those who have booked online, either at your website direct, okay, or they booked online at a third party. Once they call and they just say, hey, got a question, I just want to reconfirm. What's your name? And they want to know how to spell it because they feel much more comfortable. You want to say, well, I have you on the line. Let me just double check the details on your reservation. Now, by the way, if you see the reservation is from that third party source, this is a great time for you to engage them and say, yes, I'm here on site, if you are on site. I know some of you are at call centers, but if you're on site, use that as an advantage. And then say, let me go over your requests, all right? And we want to find out some things. Now, what are some things we might want to find out? For example, arrival times. Are they coming very late at night? We want to make sure that front desk knows not to assume they're going to be a no-show, that they're in fact landing at midnight and driving 2 hours to get to us. That they have allergies, or that they request a low floor because they're afraid of heights, or that they requested a king-size bed because they're a honeymoon couple, or that they requested 2 beds because it's their 50th anniversary. Just kidding. But we want to put why they requested things. Also, anything you find out about them. Sometimes callers are very forthcoming. They'll say, oh, it's our third time visiting. So we put that into the notes when they call to reconfirm. Now at reception, we can say, welcome, I understand it's your third time visiting or your first time visiting. Or names of people. Oh, this must be little Susie, she's 10. Oh, pets names, if you have pet-friendly accommodations. People will say, I'm bringing my dog Maxie. You put in there that this is Maxie, and then they're gonna, and you welcome them and say, oh, this must be Maxie. You will melt Maxie's mom's heart. So use that information, use the opportunity, rather, to get that information, to put it into your comments, remarks field. All right, so now we move on to the list here. So complete details. Sometimes also an email is not provided, and an email is very important because now we can use this information to market in the future. If they book through some third parties, those third parties do not want to give you the email. I don't want to pick on anyone like Home Away, but they don't want you to have the email. So we say, oh, while I have you on the line, may I just get your email? And the guest says, why do you want my email? And you say, oh, just in case there's any lost and found items. All right. And then we also put down here the other reasons. We can also say purpose of trip. We didn't talk about that one. We think we're a resort and everybody's coming for fun, or we're a city center hotel and it's the weekend and they're coming for theater or shopping. Sometimes they're there for a funeral. And if you put that in there, in town for a funeral, you can be a little more solemn. You're not going to be like, hey, what's up? What brings you to town this weekend? You already know this information. All right. So these are some of the things that help us personalize their reception experience. And that's the key today, is for making it a unique, authentic connection and help them personalize their welcome to get off to a good start. So in summary then, the telephone these days is like your hotel, your resort. It's like your storefront window. Now this takes some explaining because it's not an obvious example. But what I mean is, if you've ever worked in retail, or perhaps if you like shopping, does anyone on the webinar like shopping? You're walking down the mall or the strip mall and you see, you're just there to eat or drink or to get a bite or to pick up one item, but you see that storefront window and you go, I think I'm gonna go inside. And so that's what we want to do, is have the telephone be, just as in retail, like a storefront window that welcomes you to come on inside and to be our guest. All right. Now, also, the people that call are the ones that have the most complicated plans. So this might be the person that either already has the reservation, but they have a question, or they were going to book online, but they called because they have special needs. They see online this accommodation only takes 4 people, and they have 5. But the 5th individual is actually a 3-month-old baby sleeping in a pack and play. Some people are very compliant and will call to make sure it's going to be okay. A lot of people would just sneak them in, okay? I'm just saying. Also, people have read online that you are not pet friendly, or this particular room or home is not pet friendly. And they say, hello, how are you today? Nice to meet you. I just have a question. I see you don't take pets, but you don't understand. My Maxie is very special. He has no fleas. He never barks. He never wee-wees. He hasn't bitten anyone ever. Can you please bring him? Or they say, I see you have a 30-pound restriction. Now, my dog, well, he's a little bigger, 50 pounds, but he's a very well-behaved pit bull. He hasn't bitten anyone since last October. So people call to negotiate the terms. Or, and I'm sure this never happened with your company, the website booking engine freezes up. And it's spinning and spinning and spinning. This just happened to me, booking an airline ticket. And then you wonder, did it go through or not? So you place a phone call, all right? So the tools fail sometimes. So we gotta be really, really, really good at telephone. Hopefully I've convinced you of that, because today you're gonna be talking to the guest a lot less frequently, and the ones that call have special needs concerns, okay? And so you are the first impression makers. The pressure, oh, done. But you can handle it, I know. So first, we want to be really good at our greetings. I just did a class last week, and maybe you're with me. Abode, shout out to you, Sonia, because I picked on you last week. One of our Track Pulse clients. And Sonia, you did a great job in the class, but we talked about how important the positive first impression is. And it's not just you, Sonia. If there's anyone else that's been in Doug Kennedy's class, I pretty much make everybody practice the positive opening greeting. Yeah, just be glad you don't work at KTN, because I don't care if you've been 27 years in the business. I make you sit here and practice sounding enthusiastic when we answer, because we are so happy, right? Right. So it's what you say, but it's how you say it. Greeting of the day, company, hotel, or departmental name, your name, and an offer to assist. All right. So good afternoon. Thank you for calling Kennedy Hotel. This is Douglas. How can I assist you today? Now, if you're specifically answering in reservation, because the call is coming straight to your phone, you want to say, thank you for calling Kennedy Hotel Reservations. This is Douglas. How can I assist you today? All right. Now, unlike some trainers, I believe you should greet them first, let them talk, and then we ask for the name. Okay. This to me makes it a lot more conversation. Now, some people in the training business say, good afternoon, thanks for calling Grand X Hotel. This is Doug. May I have your name, please? I think that's a little blunt. If you're doing it that way and it's working, make sure you sound friendly. But you don't go to a party or to a holiday party or after church or temple or mosque and walk up to someone and say, hi, I'm Doug Kennedy. What's your name? You say, hello, I'm Doug. Nice to meet you. And then they give their name. If they don't, you say, may I have your name? So it's a little more friendly, a little more natural conversation as if we would do in person. All right, got it so far? Basic stuff, but the basics set us apart. Because at the end of the day, your hotel, your resort, your rental accommodations are just like everybody else's on the surface. It's the people that make the difference. All right, so next up, hold button. Now, hopefully you never have to put them on hold. But it does happen, because we have this thing called the everything happens at once principle. Do you know what this means? It means that nothing happens, then everything happens. You could be working in reservations, and there are 3 lines ringing in, and nobody calls for 45 minutes. So your coworker says, you know what, I'm going to take a break and get us a coffee. Would you like one? Oh, sure, take your time. I've got to step out for the ladies' room or the men's room or to make a call. Oh, sure. As soon as they step away, all 3 lines light up. It is like there's a grand conspiracy out there, and the callers are all like, okay. They're watching on a webcam. Okay, they left. She's alone. Dial! And all 3 lines light up. So we could just talk a little bit faster to get the call a little bit quicker, right? That's not really going to help us. We want to take our time with each one, and we want to pick them up and say, oh, certainly, you have reached in-house, on-site reservations. I am assisting another guest, but I will be right back with you. Okay, now, if you're a call center, you probably don't have this scenario because the calls are stacked up and you don't manually put them on hold. Okay, so ask permission. Or it might be in the middle of your conversation and you have to check with something. We want to first say, this bonus training material, not even included on the slide. But say, you know what, that is a great question. I will find out and I will let you know, okay? Now, especially if you're new, write that down. You may be using that a lot. That is a great question. But let me check with the expert, or let me check with housekeeping, or let me check with the front desk, and I will find out and let you know. Lengthy holds, we want to check back frequently, okay? So Forbes, which many of you might be rated by, and also AAA now, I believe, want us to check back after 30 seconds, okay? Now, 30 seconds in a res office goes by really quick, but if you were in one of my classes, what I do is I say, oh, 30 seconds, that's nothing, right? Click, and I go to freeze frame, and I put my phone clock on for 30 seconds. Try that, managers, after this webinar, and see how long 30 seconds is when you're the one waiting. Okay, so if it's going to be longer, manage their expectation and let them know that it's going to be a few moments. Do you prefer to hold, or I can call you back? A lot of people are on this right here, mobile device, and they're going to put it on speaker, and they're like, that's fine, because really, I'm driving. Sure, you got that one. Or I'm really cooking dinner, okay? Or I'm really doing something else. So as long as you tell them it's going to be a few minutes, or offer to call them back, and then finally thank them for holding. Now, we would think this is common sense, and I know you know this intellectually. Well, we want to take the journey from the head to the heart so that we not only know it, but we do it. We do it every day with zero defect continuously. Now, sometimes we have to transfer. So we want to do what I call supervise the transfer. What that means is, first of all, own the request. Try to answer that. Try to say, you know what, that's a great question. Let me find out. Find out, come back on, and give them the answer. Yes, the pool is heated to precisely 81 degrees. I know some of you are laughing, but some of you are smiling because you know you got that question. On the other hand, if we do have to transfer and they say, well, exactly what type of chemical process do you use to chlorinate the pool? Is it bromine, or is it chlorine? And you want to say, you know what, I have reached our chief engineer and I'm going to transfer you over. All right. Now, supervised transfer. Indicate who you're transferring them to and why. Okay, so our chief engineer or our chief supervisor of the pool area will be able to tell you precisely that information since you have allergies. All right, and then you get on the line, you say, hello, Bob in maintenance, or Barbara in maintenance. I'm sending over Mr. Kennedy. He's got a question about some chemicals due to allergies. Okay, and then if you go to transfer them to maintenance or the chief supervisor of engineering and you get a voicemail, tell the caller you're sending them to voicemail and manage their expectation. All right, now finally on phone, I want to talk about ending the call correctly. We want to bookend the call. We did a nice positive greeting, but now we want to end that call with the final last impression, saying, is there anything else I can assist you with today, Douglas? Because we're going to restate the caller's name. And then we want to thank them for calling. Your hotel brand, your hotel name, or your vacation rental, your lodge name. Okay, so a couple things there. We don't just want to say, if you need anything else, give me a call back. I'm Douglas. I'm here from 9 till 5. Okay, that's mentioning additional assistance. We want to truly offer it. Is there anything else I can assist you with today? Well, thank you so much for calling, Douglas, and we look forward to hosting your vacation at Grand X Resort. Okay, so there's a small change in wording. There is a big change in the impact. All right. Next up, we're going to talk about listening. Now, this is a subject that comes up in our personal lives all the time. I'm sure you all think you're excellent listeners, right? Well, let's just interview and survey your spouse, boyfriends, girlfriends, significant others, domestic partners, husbands, and wives. Does the subject ever come up at home? Maybe this will help you. I talk about listening empathetically, not just to get the facts, but to show you care, okay? Now, if you've been on my other webinars, I'm always talking to you about these 3 women who are coming for our jobs. Okay, so far they all seem to be predominantly women. Their names are Siri, Cortana, and Alexa. Okay, if you have an iPhone, you know Siri. If you have Windows 10, you know Cortana. And if you have a 17-year-old or an 18-year-old now, like I have, they all want Alexa for Christmas, so they can teach it to say inappropriate things in their bedroom when mom and dad aren't there. Our son has Alexa call him your precious majesty, okay? But these women are coming for our jobs, and they never take a day off. They never take a restroom break. They don't eat lunch, but they also have no empathy, all right? And the one thing a human person can do that these ones cannot is to connect on a humanistic level, okay? So that's what we want to do. And comment, paraphrase, engage people in real conversations. And that's what we can do. That these women, and I joke around there, actually you can change Siri to a guy, so I've heard. But we have not just Siri, Cortana, Alexa, but we have artificial intelligence known as chatbots being worked on now that people want to sell to put on your website, all right? But what they can never do is connect in a humanistic way. So to do that, we want to be focused. We want to be present throughout the conversation. We want to react with sincerity. Now, you know, people share a lot of very personal information, especially when you say, oh, as I'm checking those rates, do you have any questions? What brings you to town? They will tell you, okay? Now, some of them are like business, vacation. They don't want to share. But amazingly, a lot of people will tell you the truth, okay? Some of them you don't even ask, you just pick up the phone. Good afternoon, reservations. Hello there, we're thinking about coming out there. It's our first time traveling with the little baby, or it's our first time traveling without that baby, or we're coming there for our 10th anniversary, or a 5th anniversary, or a 50th anniversary, okay? Sometimes, it's funny, sometimes, you know, I listen to calls through clients record through Track. I heard one vacation beach area, and the guys are calling up, and you know, they're saying we're bringing my friend out because he just got divorced and he's really upset, and we're going to take him out to have a good time. Or, you know, we're coming on a, what brings you in? Divorce party. And you're like, oh, sorry to hear. No, we're happy about a divorce. It's great. So they're going to tell you a lot of stuff you might be surprised to hear, but all we have to do is be sincere. So I'm going to train you how to be focused and present and sincere. We can go, ah, or ah. Okay, follow along. It's my anniversary. Ah. It's our last trip with our son before he goes off to college. Oh. Some of you are like, ah. Maybe that's a good thing. Okay, I wonder sometimes. But be focused and present and react with sincerity. Got that, everyone? When your manager says, what'd you learn from Doug's webinar? But truly, Siri can't do that. Cortana can't do that. Bixby can't do that. Oh, I forgot Bixby. It's an annoying voice on your Samsung 8 smartphone. We call those verbal nods. Now, empathy we talked about, sometimes it's a sad occasion. People will tell you, what brings you in? It's a funeral. Or my father's getting surgery. I am sorry to hear that, but we wish him the best. We're here for a funeral. Sorry to hear of your loss. Now, I'm old enough to have experienced losses and surgeries. And when you do have a loss, sometimes it's the empathy of a stranger that means the most. So take just a moment. You know, I know you're here for the surgery, but no, we're going to take great care of you. If you need anything, in fact, please, here's my direct extension. All right. Also, do not ask for information they already provided. Sometimes the person gushes out all the details up front and they say, hi, I'm Doug Kennedy. I've never been there before. I'm coming by myself on business on Tuesday night. And then you're looking at your little criteria. In fact, if you have Track Pulse, you can even use our KTN criteria. Ask your Track Pulse client rep for that, or email me directly. And you're looking at the criteria and it says, ask for purpose of trip, ask if they've stayed before, right? And they're telling you right now, it's my first time and I'm coming there on business. And you're like, okay, great. Have you stayed with us before? What brings you to town? Because it's on the checklist. Don't ask it if they tell you, okay? Just state it back and say, oh, your first time? And then they'll say, yes, and I've always wanted to come to San Francisco or Boston or Philly or Minneapolis. All right, talkovers. Now, sometimes you get a really slow talker. Okay, now I was born in Kentucky. I actually was born in Pittsburgh, but I moved to Kentucky when I was 2 weeks old. Now, they talk a little slower in Kentucky. Yeah, they're nice and mellow. And then you get into rural Kentucky, outside of Lexington. I'm from Lexington, the big city. You get to the small town, they be fixing to get ready to come out. And they're thinking about calling. And you and your big city ways are like, hi there, I'm thinking about coming out. When? Coming out there on the 17th of. Come on, spit it out. We got calls on hold. Take your time, slow down. Don't talk over your callers, okay? Now, on the other hand, by the way, we get the really fast talker. Maybe you work in a rural area and you talk slow. And on the other hand, you got a big city person, they're talking 90 miles an hour, and you have to take notes. All right. So more often than not, though, I find that in reservations, we tend to talk too fast. Now, finally, the last segment I have for you, and then we have a special guest speaker coming up today. But I want to speak about the choice of words. So we talked about the telephone skills, the greeting, the ending the call correctly. We talked about listening with empathy, We talked about choosing our words carefully is our next segment. And that is where I say, not that, say this. So I'm going to give you some examples of common phrasing said in reservations and a better way to say it. All right. So instead of saying, I'll have to check temperature of the swimming pool, I'll have to check. What is the exact square footage of the second bedroom? I'll have to check. It's almost like saying, if it wasn't for all you callers interrupting us all day long, we could get a lot more work done in reservations. Instead, we want to say, allow me to check. Small change in wording, big change in impressions. Next up, we want to say, we do not want to say, think it is, should be, pretty sure. Do you take pets? Yeah, I think so. I think this one's pet friendly, pretty sure. But if not, you can leave your dog in the car. Should be pack and play in that home or cabin. I'm trying to think of everybody here. Parking, yes, there should be parking when you arrive at our city center hotel, okay? They want to hear, it is, it isn't, or I will find out for sure, and I will let you know. All right, now this is kind of funny. I hear a lot of people say, when the person calls back, hello, I'm called earlier, I just want to make sure you have my request, whatever it is. I requested a king-size bed, which we're going to talk about in a minute. Or I requested early arrival, okay? The hotel has plenty of king-size beds, and you can see you're not sold out the night before, and it's almost arrival date, so you are certain they're going to get early arrival, right? But sometimes their reservation has said, well, I'm not showing that request. Who'd you speak to? Did you get a name? Right? Some people, personality types, like to draw a line in the sand and get into this, oh, yes, you did. Oh, no, you didn't. Oh, yes, you did. Oh, no, you didn't. Okay? And we get into a big battle. But much better to say, you know what? Let me see what we can work out. Now, if you can't do it, you say, let me see what we can work out. Actually, unfortunately, I'm not showing that request. Did you happen to know who you spoke with? But let me see what we can work out. Do not draw the line in the sand and say, I'm not showing that request. Okay? Because then you get into a battle of, I just said that. No, you didn't say that. Oh, yes, you did. Oh, no, you didn't. We all know that doesn't go well. Next up, I'm sure this never happens at the great hotels and resorts and vacation rental companies on this webinar today because your clients are so wealthy and prosperous. But if it ever happens, do not say, sir, your credit card was declined. We want to call back and say, I was unable to get approval. Do you have another card? Don't worry, it happens frequently with guests when they're booking hotels in faraway places. Your card was declined. Financially, sir, you are a deadbeat loser. Better to say, I was unable to get approval. Do you have another card? Okay. You'll have to, do not tell people they will have to. Personally, I don't know, maybe it's a guy thing. For me, I try to be that nice customer, but when a service provider says, sir, you will have to, I am not doing it. I don't care. It brings out that 17-year-old rebel youth in me that never grew up, and I don't care what that's for, I'm not doing it. But if they say, sir, may I just suggest that if you call us the day of, we will put our best in to rush, the day of your departure, we'll do our best to accommodate a late checkout. Instead of saying, look, we don't guarantee late checkouts. You'll have to call on the last morning, right? So may I suggest, may I offer you, okay, all right. Couple more here, folks. No problem. Now, this is one that is meant in a good way. And I know a lot of people say it. It's not just Gen Xers and millennials. Baby boomers say this all the time. Oh, yeah, no problem. It's usually when someone thanks us. Thank you so much for your excellent help with this reservation. I appreciate your patience. Oh, no problem. Yeah, might as well say, oh, normally, actually, it is a problem. But you are lucky. You're caller 32, and you got the no problem. Call me tomorrow. It will be a problem. We want to say, you are most welcome. Or, it was my pleasure to assist. All right. So doesn't that sound better? Now, one exception. Let's see. I'm looking at the list here. Wow, we have people from all over the world. Jay, I don't know. If we have anyone listening in from Jamaica, The way you say no problem in Jamaica, I have no problem with no problem. Yeah, man, Mr. Douglas, yeah, man, no problem. All right, feeling Irish today, man? Yeah, man. Okay, if you're in Jamaica right now, I have no problem with no problem. But if you're Jamaican even, okay, we have a lot of Jamaican friends here in Miami. Please use "you're most welcome." Finally, 2 more examples here. Hello, I'm calling. I had a question. My confirmation came through, and the name was misspelled by whoever I spoke with. Happens all the time. 3rd one today. You know, we got this new guy, Douglas. Can't spell what the, you know, it's crazy. We want to say, oh gosh, that's not up to our standards. I apologize. We fell short. You know, I called and booked, and I never got my confirmation. Oh, let me check. Oh, they put 2 @ in your email address. You know, it happens all the time. These reservations people, our call center after hours, they mess everything up, right? Don't let them know. It might be the 3rd one today, but don't tell them it was the 3rd one today. All right, so take a moment to think about then the confusing jargon, the expressions we hear said every day that we may say, and take a moment instead to use common language, the ones we've talked about here. All right, so we're going to get in now to tone of voice. And now we've talked about a lot today. We talked about the actual phraseology for greeting, for transferring, for hold, and for ending the call. We talked about listening. Let's recap. Ah, ah. We talked about choice of words. But what we haven't spoken about yet is the other factor, which is what impacts what comes across. Energy, enthusiasm, moderate pace, and inflection. So let me speak to the first 2 myself. We want to be excited, right? Nobody wants to talk to the low energy reservation person. I know we have some hotels on the call today. We have a lot of resorts. Resort people are coming on, guests are coming to stay with you on vacation. Good afternoon, thanks for calling Brand X Resort. Hi, I can't wait to come to the beach, or we're coming skiing. Wonderful, when is it? How many nights? How many people? How many beds? You want a bucket? We gotta be excited. Okay, now even a business hotel, you know, it may not be as fun when you're on business, but most people like to leave for their business trips. In fact, I know a lot of moms who are business travelers who are like, all right, and probably some dads too. So energy, enthusiasm for what we're selling. Also speak at a nice moderate rate, as we already talked about. But now I want to think a little bit about inflection, because it can change the entire meaning. Now we have a very special guest today. I'd like to welcome Kathy Cook. Thank you for joining us today on our webinar. Kathy is actually new to our team. She has just joined us from a 27-year career with Marriott, including about the last half of that in training and development.
Yes, that's right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
And she's going to speak a little bit to the concept of how, by changing our inflection, we can change the entire meaning of what is being said just by changing the inflection. So Kathy, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. Thank you very much, Douglas. So I'm sure you thought, what did you think about the presentation so far? I hope you've enjoyed it. We're going to talk about voice inflection now. So just by changing one word in a sentence can make a big difference. Take a look at this sentence here. I do see your request for a king-size bed, and I'll see what I can do for you. Well, that indicates you're simply going to see what you can do for the customer. Okay? Now, by changing just a few words, I do see your request for a king-size bed, and I'll see what I can do for you. Now, this sounds like you see that they have a request for a king-size bed, but they're not going to be getting that request because you only see it. What do you think? I'm blind? I see it. Okay. I do see your request for a king-size bed, and I'll see what I can do for you. Well, this sounds like that you can see the request for the king-size bed, but you're really not going to do anything about it because you don't even have one. The next, I do see your request for a king-size bed, and I'll see what I can do for you. Well, you've noted that it's a request, right? But that's about it. You're not going to accommodate them because you don't have one. Okay. The next, I do see your request for a king-size bed, and I'll see what I can do for you. Well, you see that they've requested a king-size bed, but you don't have a king-size bed, and you don't plan on giving them a king-size bed. Okay. Next, I do see your request for a king size bed, and I will see what I can do for you. This sounds like you're really putting down the fellow front desk clerk that didn't put them in a king size bed in the first place. Now you're going to take care of it for them because you're so much better than them. Okay. I do see your request for a king size bed, and I will see what I can do for you. What do you think? I'm not going to do it? I'm going to do it. I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to accommodate your needs. Stop looking at me that way. I do see your request for a king size bed, and I will see what I can do for you. Once again, you're putting down your fellow front desk clerk that didn't put them in a king size bed in the first place, and you're frustrated. You're frustrated with the desk clerk, not with the guest. And last of all, I do see your request for a king size bed, and I'll see what I can do for you. Or you really sound annoyed with that guest. Do they really want a king size bed and they're annoying you because they are being difficult? So just think about the words that you speak and your voice inflection and how it can affect the entire meaning of your sentence, what you're trying to communicate.
All right. Yeah, I think that's wonderful. You crack me up every time you do that. I think you can see this applies to reservations when they're calling back for that request, or you can share this segment with front desk as well. But now take what Kathy's talking about and put it in the context of somebody that's calling up and saying, hi, we're thinking about coming there for vacation. Are you on site? Yeah, I'm in-house. What's the resort like? It's a great resort. You're going to love it here. Anything else I can do for you, let us know. Feel free to ask for me. So tonality, inflection, all these factors impact. When we're talking to you on a webcam, we can talk with our arms and our gestures and our facial expressions. But on the phone, your voice says it all. So in summary there, as we start to wrap up, remember that the positive first impression that you provide can help you close more sales, make you stand out. Chances are that your facilities, meaning if you're a resort that has restaurant or golf or skiing or beach or perhaps horseback riding, your accommodations and your facilities are probably the same as everybody else in your market segment. If you're a cabin rental company, you compete with other cabin rentals. If you're a 5-star luxury hotel, you compete with other 5 stars. In the end, it's the people that make the difference, and the people like you on the webinar today. And we can be a great person and a fantastic hospitality personality, but we want to make sure that when we reach through that website and grab them into a conversation, that our personalities ring through. So we're going to kick it back in just a second here to Resorts and Lodges, but I do want to provide our contact information. Jay, I know you'll be sending a follow-up with your contact information, but here's my email address. If you have any questions, you can also email Kathy with a C, Kathy at Kennedy Training Network, or myself, our website, and the Resorts and Lodges website. So please join us again in about 2 more months, which I'm sure will fly by, for our next webinar. Kicking it back to you, Resorts and Lodges and Track Pulse.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doug and Kathy, and thank you to everyone who joined us today. If anyone is interested in learning more about Track Hospitality Software's Guest Communication Cloud, getting listed on the resortsandlodges.com marketplace, or utilizing our digitally managed marketing solutions, please contact us at marketing@resortsandlodges.com. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye-bye.